On the night of February the 5th, I wasn't sleeping very well, and I came down and turned the television on and had a cup of tea. I was really shocked because when I turned on the television, the reports were coming from Morecambe Bay, which is only a few miles from where I live. And what had happened is that a group of Chinese immigrants who were out picking cockles had been drowned by the tide. Morecambe Bay is a vast tidal area. It's about 120 square miles, and what happens is that when the tide goes out, there's this vast expanse of sand, which can look very inviting when the weather conditions are good, but it's treacherous because there's quicksand and there are gullies where there's fast flowing water and also quicksand often in these gullies, so it's very easy to get stuck in the mud. The water can come in quickly, it can trap people. It's a very dangerous area. And these cockle pickers had gone out to gather the cockles, and they'd got caught by the tide. They hadn't come in quickly enough. And because it was dark, they obviously hadn't seen that the tide was approaching, and also they weren't trained fishermen. They were immigrants who'd been sent to work there, so they didn't really understand how dangerous the bay was. They didn't understand that the tide was coming in and that they needed to leave. Because I was brought up near the bay, and because the bay means so much to me, and indeed because members of my own family in the past had been fishermen on the bay, it really struck home, and I wanted to make a response. Not just for me, but I felt that everybody in the area had been really saddened and horrified by what had happened. And so I wanted to make something that would commemorate this tragedy. I decided to make a piece for each of the cockle pickers who'd died, so that's 23 pieces. And each piece I started by making a cast from the bay to capture the sand patterns. The sand patterns vary tremendously between the different parts of the bay. They can be just simple ripples, they can be very flat, or they can be like mini landscapes, small gorges and almost cliff-like structures in miniature. So I started off by making a cast, and then from that I made a ceramic piece, and round the side of it I put the name of each of the cockle pickers, one name for one piece, and a quotation from the press reports of the time. Then later I had the name put on in Chinese characters. What I wanted is that they should be stretched out in a line on the sands and like stepping stones. Of the cockle pickers who were lost, most of them were men, but there were some women amongst them. And the stones that I made for the women have all got snowdrops printed onto the top. As they're strung out in the bay, I very much want them to form a pathway. And it is a metaphorical and spiritual pathway, a pathway towards the community in China where the people came from. The message is that they're not forgotten, that many, many people around the bay and in other parts of the country, in fact all over the world, remember what happened to them. I would like the pieces to be set out on the bay and to be left till they're submerged by the tide, and that does seem a fitting end to them.